YouTuber turned boxer Jake Paul took on two-time world heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua, and it went horribly wrong for Jake Paul in that he got his head caved in. And he doesn't seem to appreciate the real danger his lopsided career in boxing is taking him. I'm Dr. Sharky. I'm a critical care doctor and a member of the trauma team at my local hospital. I'm going to react to and break down the punishing injury Jake Paul sustained and why I think he's playing a very dangerous game with his brain. If we look at the match itself, it's obviously extremely one-sided, and there have been some accusations that the match was staged and that his injury was fake. But what's shocking is the nature of the injury he sustained. If you look at the impact damage, he is stunned. He's not knocked out immediately, but if you look at the displacement of his jaw and the force that was in that punch, that is impressive. Doesn't look very staged to me. And Jake Paul posted on his Instagram that he sustained fractures of his jaw, of his lower jaw, and was broken in two places. And some of the images that he posted were from his X-rays and his CT/MRI scans. It's showing his lower jaw, that's his mandible, and yes, it looks like it's broken in two places, and it's circled in these red circles. You can see this is his jaw. This is supposed to be sort of two continuous lines showing sort of the outer surface and the inner surface, and you can see it's discontinuous here, and there seems to be a break there as well. It looks like he's probably displaced or broken some teeth as well, according to what he said in his Instagram post. And we have further imaging, sort of a 3D generated image, and you can see this after his operation. And we can see they've placed some pins and plates where they've fixed his jaw. So it's been broken in two places. Very common place where it's broken. On looks like his right side, there's a fracture of the angle of the jaw, the angle of the mandible, and they put in a plate and some pins to fix that there. And it looks like they might have extracted some teeth as well. So they've taken some teeth out there. They're probably broken, or what we call subluxated or dislocated, and they just took his teeth out there. And if we look at the other side, just pause it there, and it looks there's no teeth missing there, but those teeth look a bit inwardly placed, but it might be just the way his teeth are placed. It looks like he's got some pins there, all titanium stuff. So the force needed to break your jaw, especially in two places, like around say 80 pounds per square inch, that's pretty impressive. And it's got to be, flying at around 5 meters per second, the fist. So that's a massive force to land on your jaw. And the concern is, it's not just the short-term injury that he had. He's got broken his jaw, and looks like he's come out of that okay. But there's going to be effects from that injury on his brain itself, on the other structures inside his skull, which is what's concerning. So he's posted a few more pictures, after the op. And he's actually posted one pretty gnarly video just after the fight, because he didn't even know his jaw was broken, but he sort of felt that his jaw was broken. That's why he went to the hospital to get it checked out. So nobody suspected it. And this is the video that he posted. Big smile. I don't think so, dude. So if we just pause it there. You can see his teeth seem to be displaced. That's like sort of off angle, and it does correspond to the injury that he had on that side, which is closer to what's called the mentum. But it might be just the way his teeth are placed, because the teeth that were taken out were on this side. But again, that's a massive injury. And sometimes, yes, it looks like it's what's called a undisplaced fracture, or minimally displaced. So the bone is still in alignment, so it's not been displaced. So he might have not noticed it right away. The muscles of his jaw will keep it in place. It was probably causing him a lot of pain and discomfort, so he had to go in for surgery, which is pretty gnarly. And he posted a few more pictures. Comes to the point why I think Jake Paul is actually playing with fire, and I don't think he's grasped the extent of where this is taking him. He's a famous YouTuber, somewhat controversial content creator, but now he's taken up boxing/MMA stuff, which is really great. I mean, I'm not telling anybody not to do it, but there are inherent risks, and I think the way he's going about it picking fights with fighters who are obviously larger than him, more powerful than him, who are actual professionals, it's going to land him in big trouble. So the long-term effects from repeated traumatic brain injuries, that's what we call what happens to your brain after you've had multiple traumas. You can have concussions, you can have secondary brain injuries, which I'll explain in a second. But a lot of the common things that happen to boxers in terms of traumatic brain injury is just because of the repeated nature of this injury, where he keeps getting hit in the head. The brain, it's not in a fixed place. It sort of floats around in what's called the CSF. In this sort of injury, you get something else, what's also called a coup contre coup injury, where you have the initial impact, and then when your head is thrown back and comes to a sudden stop, your brain sort of continues moving, and it hits the back or the front of your head, and that's sort of a second injury again. So that's the coup contre coup injury. That's probably going to happen each time he gets hit, and if he hits the floor again after that. And the other things from the traumatic brain injury is things will start to slowly appear, like he might have constant headaches. His motor system will stop functioning normally, so he might have problems with balance, coordinating himself with movement. He'll have sensory problems. He'll have changes in his hearing, his taste. He'll have dizziness, things like that. He'll have problems with his cognition. He'll be agitated, confused as time goes on. So he'll have symptoms essentially of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's as things go on. And this isn't sort of the mildest case. You can have a really bad brain injury, you could have a bleed, and then there's something called a secondary brain injury or a second impact syndrome, where you have an initial hit and you'll have the trauma to your brain, and then there could be venous congestion, inflammation, and there'll be swelling of the brain itself after that initial injury, and that could be devastating. That's really bad. And he'll need sort of emergency brain surgery, essentially. And I don't think whether anybody's explained it to him. I think some of the flight promoters said, oh, breaking your jaw is really common, it happens all the time. Yes, it does happen. But in this context, with the fights that he's picking, it's just sort of emblematic of what's going to happen. He's broken his jaw, yes, but that means the force that's been applied to him over and over again, it's not going to be good. And since he's a sort of content creator, a YouTuber first before a fighter, you're going to want to be at your peak at all times. You don't want to be slurring, stumbling afterwards. It's going to be awful. And I hope he takes the time to think about it, because he's still young. And it may seem cool, it's going to make a lot of money, but your health, believe me, is worth more than all the money in the world. Especially your brain health. The worst thing, and you can ask anybody who lives with a person with dementia, who lives with a person who's got Parkinson's, you might as well be dead, really. It can be that bad. Anyway, I was rambling on a bit, but yeah, I felt really I felt concerned. That's what I felt. And it's this sort of thing, it's probably encouraging other younger people as well to take up boxing and other sorts of contact sports, which is something you should really think about seriously before you get into it, especially for the younger crowd out there. Because I've seen a lot of bad outcomes from this sort of sport, these kind of injuries. So take your time to think about it. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see what happens. Hope he's okay. Hope he recovers fine. And if you like this kind of content, please subscribe. Leave us a like. And if you really think it was staged, please let me know in the comments and explain how and why, of all things. So obviously he's going to lose. Come on, dude. Anthony Joshua is like, the 2-time world heavyweight champion against semi-professional Jake Paul. It's not going to happen. Okay, cool. So catch you next time. Stay healthy, stay safe. See you later.